So good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you. I hope you and your family are safe and well. My name is Donna Miller, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Purse Power. Purse Power is working to help women use their massive purchasing power to drive positive change. We believe that if women who make 80% of all purchasing decisions would choose to buy from the companies that promote women, and we would do that in mass, and we could create a funding stream for battered women's shelters, that we could shatter glass ceilings and change lives. So that's what Purse Power is trying to do. And my guest today is Hannah Kain with ALOM. I want to pronounce that right, ALOM. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. It's going to be a fun hour with you.
Yes, it will. It sure will. Okay. So I just want to let everybody know we are in webinar format today. We are taping the program. We put all of our programs up on the pursepower.com website under the Let's Share the Journey tab. And we have about 60 programs up there. And they are national leaders with some important things to say to women business owners and business leaders. So I hope you check that out. And of course, Hannah Kain is one of the most senior people I've had on the show. We do this every Friday at 10 o'clock Central, and I put the program up for the following Friday every Monday, so you can go ahead and go register at our website. And then every fourth Friday of the month, we have a networking session where people can get to know each other in person, and then the next one is on the 25th, so I hope you join us. Okay, so I'll introduce Hannah. Please share your comments via chat. Please go ahead and introduce yourselves via chat as well. And you can ask your questions by clicking on the Q&A link at the bottom of your screen, or you can add them to chat. They're easier to see in Q&A. If you put them there, we'd appreciate it. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so Hannah Kain is the president and CEO of ALOM, a supply chain company she founded in 1997. ALOM operates out of 19 global locations and supports its Fortune 500 customers in the technology, automotive, medical, financial, and energy markets. Hannah was born in Denmark, and she taught at the Copenhagen Business School. So you're going to tell us about your international perspective here, hopefully in just a minute. Okay, she holds 3 university degrees, and she is a board member of the National Association of Manufacturers and WeBank Pacific. She also is the board chair of How Women Lead Silicon Valley and serves on the WeBank Forum leadership team, the advisory council of Heritage Bank of Commerce, and is a member of the Committee of 200 for Executive Women. And those are some of the 200, like most senior women in the world, right? This is amazing.
Are you asking me to say?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's an invitation-only group, and it's made that way in order to keep this group to the top echelons where we are learning from each other.
Very good. Very good. I love that. She's named as a WeBank USA Top WeBank CEO and an SDCE Supply Chain Pro to Know. In 2020, she was featured as a Business Insider Top 100 People Transforming Business, and I'm going to ask her about what she's doing there in just a minute. Tons of prior awards. She's an amazing woman. I'm so thrilled to have her here. So thank you again, Hannah.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. I'm really tickled to be here and talk with you about my journey and how I look at how we can contribute to the world.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. To start, we want to hear your story. Tell us who you are and how you got here in your life and career.
Oh, that's a big question, right?
Yes.
So I started my journey I was born in the town of the fairy tale author Hans Christian Andersen. And I'm always saying I leave it to him to make things up, and I'm sticking with reality. So, yeah, that was where I was born. I went to university there and educated in Denmark, and had my first jobs in Denmark. And in 1990, my husband and I decided that we wanted to immigrate to the US. So we bought one-way tickets, and we can talk about this thing about being an immigrant. It's actually, I'd say I've done 2 big changes in my life. Being an immigrant was a very big change, and of course starting ALOM in 1997. So, but I ended up on the East Coast in 1990, and I was there for 4 years. And then in 94, we moved to Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley was still, it was very recognized at the time, but still budding in compared to what it is now. And so I have seen the entire growth of Silicon Valley. And in 97, I started my company, ALOM, and together with a number of other supply chain professionals, and we've grown it, and that has been a really fantastic journey. So if you do the math, you will see we are 25 years this year, celebrating our anniversary a little bit later this year. And so it's been really interesting, right? Growing it from this, from nothing, right? Literally nothing. And then now we are out of 19 locations globally. We are serving some of the prestigious corporations in the world, really contributing with the COVID situation, contributing to getting us out of the crisis, and a number of other things that are very meaningful to me. And then I think one other thing that has meant a lot to me is seeing my staff members grow, right? Through this journey, seeing everybody grow. So yeah, that's exciting. You asked me before whether I had kids. I have no kids, but I have so many meaningful relationships, both at work and outside work, where I love the volunteer activities that I'm doing through WeBank and a number of other women's organizations. And
Absolutely.
thank you, Donna. Thank you for what you're doing for women. Very meaningful as well.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? You and I know what WeBank is, but I don't know that everybody does. Can you give us a brief summary?
Yeah, so there are, of course, a lot of women-owned businesses out there. 16,000 of the women-owned businesses are certified to WeBank. It's the largest certification organization. So WeBank does certification. It also does, we also do training and development for certified women. We make contacts between corporations and the certified women. And then we've got a peer-to-peer network, which I'm very active in. So those are some of the activities. We are organized with a headquarters in DC, but then we have all these regional partner organizations throughout the country that are doing the certification. So lots of opportunities both for learning and for peer-to-peer networking and for business.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I want to hear about your business from the idea, inception, through the kind of phenomenal growth you've had. And congratulations on 25 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm always saying I'm coloring my hair, but then that's true for 90% of all women, at least on the West Coast. So that's nothing special. But yeah, there's probably been a couple of gray hairs in the meantime. Yeah, so when the idea came up that let's start a company in supply chain, nobody knew what supply chain was, right? And so I had this weird idea that maybe at some point of time we could produce and ship same day all over the world.
Wow.
And people were looking at me. I mean, really looking at me funny. What is this woman thinking, right? And today we know that we're very close to that reality. And I think that's that's been a development that's so fun to follow. And the other thing that was very new thinking at the point of time that was in my head was, okay, so we've got all this technology, right? So we are headquartered in Silicon Valley, and technology, I've always been fascinated by the physical flow of things, the tangible products that you produce, but also by the data and that entire digital supply chain. And so I was thinking, okay, how do we marry those two? And today you would say, oh, that kind of makes sense, but it's actually taken 25 years for people to really get that thinking. What we did in 97 was we actually did what I believe are the first customer portals for our customers. They could go in and see where the inventory was and how much they had on hand and things. It was not totally real time. It was once a day we would update it, but nobody else did things like that at that point of time. And I like to think that we have kept that edge, right? So we've invested a lot in our technology and our technology solutions, such that we can remain at the leader level when it comes to supply chain. So we look at the physical supply chain. How do we move products? And certainly there's a lot to be done there, including sustainability and a number of other things. But then we look also at the digital supply chain. Both how do we create visibility throughout the entire supply chain, but also how do we work to make sure that we can predict things and optimize everything using technology. And then, of course, there's the financial supply chain. How does everybody get paid? It sounds simple, but the business models we work are actually not very simple. So it becomes very complex. And of course, you've got currencies and taxes and a number of other activities that needs to be taken into account as well. And so we do this out of 19 locations globally. We are headquartered in Silicon Valley. We have a subsidiary in the Netherlands managing EMEA. We've got a subsidiary in Hong Kong managing the APAC activities, so Asia and the Pacifics. And then we really cater to 4 different segments with 4 different verticals. So technology is, of course, a big segment. I mean, again, with our start in Silicon Valley, we have a lot of technology customers. We got into the medical sector very early, and then automotive, and very regulated industries. We are very process oriented, we have very stringent controls, and it makes it very conducive to doing business with very regulated industries. So those are the verticals we are in, and you know, it's been a big pleasure to grow the team and hire really great people. I'm very proud of my team. They are just the stars in the industry.
Oh, wow, sure sounds like it. And the other thing that's occurring to me, I mean, it's got to be hot as heck to be where you are right now. Logistics and supply chains and how important that is to everybody.
Oh, it's almost become a bad word, right? You know, people are like, oh my God, are you in supply chain? Yeah, so it used to be that nobody knew what I was doing. And my friends would say, what are you doing in an industry like that? Nobody's asking that question anymore. But yeah, it's certainly become very hard. From my perspective, the supply chain problems we are having now are long-term structural problems, and they're not going away anytime soon. And many people think, oh, it's all pandemic related. And certainly the pandemic accelerated some of the problems, but they were structural problems. They were always there. They got worse because of the pandemic shifts, and they're going to stay with us for a long time to come. So I just wanted to put it out there that that's how we look at it. But of course, there are things companies can do about it, right? And that's what we are here to help them with.
Wow. Sorry to hear that, though, that's the case. I mean, we all want a silver bullet, but it isn't coming. Okay. So what are some of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Well, I think all entrepreneurs, when they start their business, they think it's very linear, right? So then we are growing 10% or however much they're thinking each year, and then this is where we are ending up. And I was no exception. I had this plan, and it was kind of fun because I'd been part of starting a number of businesses. And I'd never really thought about, okay, it's not linear, it's up and down, right? And when I say it's obvious, how big of an idiot am I that I didn't think about that, but I didn't, right? And so we hit some snags during the journey early on. We were very undercapitalized, right? It was privately owned, and there was only so much funds, and then we had customers not paying and a number of other things, and we really got very close to going out of business, and I had to fight for the business. It took me 3-4 years to work myself out of the hole, but I did, and my team stood by me, so I'm very proud of that. And I think you really learn as a CEO. You really learn from having those type of situations that your tool set gets much wider. And I've got 3 university degrees. I've read about it in books, but feeling it is very, very different than reading about it. And then I think also, of course, when you grow, you have this chicken and egg problem. Do I get business first and then I figure out how to make it happen? Or do I build it and then they will come? Mm-hmm. And so I've done a little bit of both. And I think it's one of the big challenges for entrepreneurs is how do you go about thinking about this thing about where how to grow your business. And then I think personal development has been really important for me also. So thinking about what is the tool set I'm bringing in at different stages at the company. So when the company started, it was a willingness to do everything and, just take it on, and high work capacity. And today it's totally different tool set that I'm pulling out to be able to do my job. And looking at that, it's also been important who I surrounded myself with, not just internally, and we can talk about that because I think that's really important, but also externally. Who was I hanging with? Was it the people who had been on the journey I had been on, or the one that was ahead of me? And that was, we talked about C200 just before. Part of why I joined C200 was I could see that I needed to hang with people who had been on that journey I was going on. People who had grown their company to a very considerable size, or who were already running very large corporations, and understand their perspective. And it's been fabulous just understanding how they look at business problems. It opened up my eyes to lots of opportunities that I hadn't seen. So I like to think of being in the new spot where I want to be, and then look back and understand the journey, instead of looking from where I'm now and then look out in the future.
I love that. I'm an executive coach by day, and I do exactly that. I tell people plan in a very detailed way 5 years out, how it's going to look, feel, what you're doing, and then look backward to how you got there. Fantastic. And thank you for talking about the ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. People see people like you, and you're highly, highly successful, and think you had an easier time of it than you probably did.
Yeah, well, we all see the positive side of things, and I feel it's important that everybody understands that there's certainly ups and downs. And when you're in a down, when you're in an up, everybody's celebrating you, and that is great, right? We need to celebrate our successes. When you're down, that's when things get really tough, right? I mean, the bank is out to close you down, right? Because they get really nervous. If you've got outside investors, they get very nervous. You're spending all your time on trying to fix the situation, but you may not be able to do. So you get all this pressure, and that's where you really need your network and your support system. And I'd say a very big tool set to be able to pull yourself out of it.
Mm-hmm. I want to hear more about that. The qualities that you have or your team have that have enabled you to do this. So skill set, yes, but also qualities of you as a leader, your team.
I think I've always, this is not something new. I've always believed I wanted to hire the best. And if I could not afford the best for the position, then I should not fill that position. Because I think entrepreneurs get stuck in the thinking that they hire somebody they feel they can afford. It's, their relative's daughter or son that maybe just graduated college and they make that person COO or whatever. And now that person fails, right? No surprise, right? And they go, oh, I've got to do everything myself. And that's holding entrepreneurs back from going to the next step. Right? So I always believe I need to hire the very best. If I cannot afford them, don't hire them. Hire people you can afford. Hire people that are really doing the job and make sure you can afford them and pay them fairly. Don't have them drag themselves out of bed every day saying, oh, why am I working for this company? I could go around the corner and make 50% more. And so you need to have that mindset, I believe. So that has allowed me to hire really great people. And I think that's a big part of the success is to be willing to hire people who are better than yourself in any given position, and also be willing to take that extra step to make sure that they're really great, right? And that, so when I say I'm really proud of my team, right? I've got many award-winning people on my team. My entire management team won a gold Stevie as the best management team in the world 2 years ago. Yeah, so I can boast of my team for a very long time because I'm really proud of them, and I think all entrepreneurs for staff should hire people they're really proud of. And where when they say yes, I'll come and work for you, they go, yes, I can't believe they said yes to me, but now I have them on my team, right? So those are the type of people I like to get on my team, and I think that's part of the secret sauce. And then I like to build teams, be very collaborative, and I believe that we are in a very collaborative age, and being able to collaborate is a big competitive advantage, not just internally but also externally. To be able to project manage things, move things really fast. And I was talking about things we did for during the pandemic and still do. So we are in the medical sector, and we support a number of large corporations there. What happened during the pandemic was there was a big shift, and one of the shifts was test kits. And we shifted over, and we've been doing genetic test kits for years, for 1.5 decades. And so we had big domain expertise in those type of kits. And we went in and approached the companies that had that were doing test kits and asked them whether they were interested in help. We onboarded them. Normally a medical customer, when you want to onboard a customer and start assembling, producing their product and shipping it, it's a 3 to 6 months thing. We did it in a week.
Oh my gosh!
Which given all the technology integration that needs to happen, and all the legal stuff and contracts and quality agreements and a number of other things in that sector, it's unheard of. And part of that is that collaborative spirit. So how do we do that, right? That's how do we make this happen? And we just made it happen. And we went up and shipped millions and still ship millions of COVID test kits each week.
Wow! Congratulations! Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So I think the basic thing is really great staff, really great technology, and then that collaboration and the trust both internally and externally.
Mhm. Wow, that's tremendous. Congratulations, really. That's a big deal. All right. So I wanted to just talk a little bit more about the people that you hire and what you're looking for. What qualities are you looking for in these fantastic people you hire?
Well, first of all, I'm not looking for one personality. I'm looking for different personality. I was looking for somebody who's really great at their job and they really love their job and they're passionate about their job. So when I interview, I like people who are very opinionated about, I would never do this and I always do this, and very proud of what they've done in the past, but not conceited about it. Right? So there are different personalities. If you hire somebody who's doing accounting, maybe they're a little bit more introverted, or somebody to do programming, they will be more introverted, right? And then you hire people who are more extroverted in other positions. So it's not like I look for one personality. I look for somebody who's very passionate about their work. Then I'm looking also so we have our core values in the company, and I'm looking for alignment with the core values. And then I think once you have that alignment and you have that passion and that desire to succeed, then the rest will follow from that. So, but part of the core values is the respect for others. It's collaboration. It's being part of a trusted network. So again, you need to fit into that. And it's a big issue if you cannot fit into that. If you don't come through for the team, if your word is not good, if an ALOM staff member says, "I'll get back to you by the end of today," they will, right? And so there's a trust between everybody. You say I will by a certain time. You're doing it. I will do this. Absolutely, it's being done. And so that commitment and that collaboration across both internally and externally really important. And then, of course, everybody needs a sense of humor. I mean, we are a company. We take our business very seriously, but we're also having fun while we're doing it. So I think being part of just being human together is an important part of being in a company.
I love it. I love it. All right. I want to switch the questions a little bit. So you've been recognized as a Business Insider Top 100 People Transforming Business. I want you to talk about what you're doing that's transforming business.
Well, I was talking a little bit about it before with the digital supply chain. So we like to think as ourselves as one of the pioneers in that area, working on getting technology embedded in each of the processes, using technology to elevate our quality. For instance, I was talking about the test kits. If we capture a serial number on the test kits to make sure that the test kits that we are sending from our customer to you, that you can register it on the site, we have set up a barrier such that we cannot ship it unless we have registered the correct serial number. Right? And so that's a way to use technology to make sure that we hit that quality level that you need to have in industries like medical and automotive. So so using the technology and thinking about technology as how can that support, augment the business, and how can it transform the business. And so right now, we're working on a number of different things in that area, but mainly it's within the collaborative space. Our customers are bring in their partners, whether it's an automotive company bringing in dealers or body shops or others that they want us to collaborate with to set up the supply chain. So when we have a client, it's not just one client, it's typically a number of different stakeholders, and we do the stakeholder analysis and think about this as a collaborative ecosystem. So I think that's a different way of looking at it. The other thing we have done is really redefine the industry. And if you're going on our website, you may think, oh, ALOM is a fulfillment company. ALOM is a contract packaging company. But really, we are way more embedded with our clients than that, because we typically will run an entire business process for them, an entire product that we are running from A to Z. And so it's really outsourced supply chain. It's a new category that sometimes people have a hard time getting their arms around. So I think it's probably the penalty for pioneering a new category in business that makes it hard to explain. But really, we are taking over the entire supply chain from procurement, from planning and procurement, all the way to the end user. And sometimes if the end user returns it, we take it back also and do all those transactions. So it's really a full turnkey solution. So it's a new business category, and it's so that's we like to think we're part of transforming the industry.
Very cool. By the way, one of your customers, I think, Mike Zwang, is giving you a compliment in the chat. So thank you for doing that. All right, guys, go ahead and start putting your questions in the Q&A block, and we'll get to those in just 1 second. I would like you to talk about what you wish you would have known when you were first starting out.
Well, I would mainly have wished I had more cash, right? And the story about when you travel and everybody says, okay, what you do is you take out all the clothes you want to bring and you put it on your bed, and then you remove 50%, and that's what you're only bringing half of what you wanted to bring, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm saying it's the same with business. When you start a business and you think, oh, I need this much money to start this business, you need to bring 3 times as much. So you're not cutting it by half like you do with the clothes. You're tripling it, because it's just going to be all the stuff you're not thinking about. So that's the main thing I really wish it was, that we could, having more cash. And I'm always advising when I'm talking with new entrepreneurs, make sure you get enough cash to really build your dream. And I mean, when I go back to the start of my career, I think I would have moved faster. Right? When you start your career, you're more concerned about, am I doing things right? And will I fit in? And things like that. And part of it is, of course, being younger. And I think when you start your career, typically in your 20s, you're way more conscious about these type of things. You get a little bit older and you start thinking, well, maybe that's not so important. There are other things that are more important. And so I think that there's a little bit age related, but I think if I could talk to my younger self, then I would definitely say, move faster, be less concerned about other people, what they think. Do what you feel is right, move more faster, more boldly. And, so I'm not talking about running over other people, right? I'm talking about following my own calling. And so I think other people will describe me as being very bold and very fast moving, but I would actually have said to myself, be even more if I could go back. And I think we all have doubt about how can we do this and those type of things. And I would have told myself, put those doubts aside and just go do it.
Just go do it. Oh gosh, you are awesome. And I love the fact that you're in Silicon Valley and you're such a leader worldwide. It's awesome. Okay, we do have some questions. So an anonymous attendee is saying, how would you handle a WeBank certification denial that was based on incorrect facts that could be substantiated?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's an option of reaching out to me, so feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn and very easy to find. but and I'm happy to see if I can facilitate some of that. The other thing is that each regional partner organization that is administering that, the certification, of course, have leadership, and I would definitely suggest to reach out to them. So I'm happy to be of help if I can.
Okay, thank you very much, Hannah. I appreciate it. Okay, Jean Bankendorf is asking what needs to be done to improve the supply chain in the future?
Oh, a number of different things. So part of what has happened over the last decade or 2 decades is we've made the supply chains very difficult, very complex. And we've done that by outsourcing quite a bit overseas, right? And that's in multiple layers. So let's say we have a supplier in China, that supplier maybe has suppliers in 20 other countries, and we see it all surfacing. I mean, when Russia invaded Ukraine, everybody was saying, yeah, that's not so much impact on supply chain, and now everybody goes, oh my God, now the nickel is going up, and neon, now we cannot produce semiconductors because we need the neon, and you know, we've gotten very dependent on each other. And that's actually okay in many ways, but the problem is we have so much complexity now in the supply chain that we cannot control it. And the technology we have has fallen behind. So the technology is based on really how things were 20 years ago. And that makes it very hard to manage today's supply chain. So the good thing that happened during COVID, during the last 2 years, is a lot of investments in IT that's related to, in technology that's related to supply chain. Big investment dollars coming into that. We really need it. So more better technology that can manage the complexity. And the best advice I can give to everybody is decrease the complexity until the technology gets better. And I can give you examples of this, but a very simple example is if you go back 10 years or even maybe 5 years, and you say, okay, I have a product I want to put into my system, and the lead time is 30, I would call my supplier or fax or whatever you did 20 years ago, right? And say, okay, when can I get this product? They say, oh, the lead time is 45 days. You would key in 45 days. Right? And now you are done this with the lead time, and the system would then calculate when do you need to place the order, if you will do different production runs, etc. But today, the lead time goes from, oh, you can actually get it in 45 days, or maybe it's 90 days, or tomorrow it's 120 days, right? So you have all this variability all of a sudden coming in. So this is just one very simple example of the variability that we have right now that's not built into the systems, right? So what you really want to do is you want to see, okay, so the ports in China are shutting down because of COVID. Now all of a sudden you have a much longer lead time. You could try to estimate when is that going to get better, and then the ships coming in, are they now sitting in the inbound ports, and you know what's happening with customs in the meantime, and is there currency fluctuations and a number of other things. So you want all of these things built into the systems. Very complex. Supply chain has become exceedingly complex to manage because of all of these issues. And then you add to it, of course, all the regulations that are changing all the time. So so that would be one good example for you of something that really needs to change. The other thing that will make supply chain run smoother is, of course, entire physical infrastructure. And we've known that for a long time, right? Our population grew over the last 30 years. Population grew by about a third. And on the West Coast ports, the US have made essentially no improvements, right? So come on, we knew that we were in trouble, right? And we knew we've been up hitting maximum capacity at peak times. Anybody who runs an operation knows when you hit maximum capacity at peak times, it's time to look at increasing capacity. So finally, we got the infrastructure built, but of course now it's going to be another 10 years or so before we get those ports actually improved. Right?
Oh my gosh.
In the meantime, we can improve a little bit, right? but still. And then we've got the labor shortage, and that's a real issue. We are thinking in supply chain alone, we're missing over the next decade or so about 2 million people. In manufacturing, it's about 4 million.
Holy smokes.
Right? And the worst crisis we're having right now is actually when it comes to truck drivers, because so many truck drivers retired. And it's a combination of age, certainly for some of them, and new regulations that made it very difficult for them to stay in business. And so we right now have a big truck driver crisis that we could resolve with self-driving trucks down the road, right? Maybe, or we can make it more attractive to be a truck driver, right? So one of the two, but I mean, you're thinking, so right now, if anybody knows a truck driver, it's a big trick here, you know, you get a $5,000 referral fee if that's an ongoing referral fee for a truck driver right now.
Wow. Okay, we got a lot of questions coming in. So, all right, Deborah Woods is asking, what's your advice for building positive relationships with prospective customers and clients when you're new to a business sector?
Well, you need to know something about what you're doing, right? So let's say you want to get into a new area, you have transferable knowledge. And then the other thing I would recommend, and again, I don't know where the question comes from, but
medical field, for reference, the one asking the question is in the medical field. She's got a relationship with the big hospital, I think Mayo, and so coaching and consulting.
Yeah. But so if you want to get into a different business industry, you hire somebody from that industry, and you use your knowledge that can be transferred into that. Was that the question? How do you get into a new
build
industry?
positive relationships with prospective customers and clients when you're new to a business sector?
Yeah. I think you need to hire somebody, and I mean, there are different ways of hiring people, right? You don't necessarily need to put them on the payroll. You could have an advisory board, you could hire people as consultants, etc. So there are different ways of getting in, so that you start speaking their language, and then you need to take all your skills you have from other sectors and see which ones can you transfer and which ones can you use. So set yourself up for success. Think about what does it take to succeed in that business, and which skills do you need, and which services and which features, and what's different. Really understand what's different in that new sector.
Okay, very good. All right. Joyce Coleman is asking two different questions here. Can you describe the changes of people's attitudes of women CEOs from when you started to your company today? And then how do you see the growth of women CEOs in the future? And you can tie in C2 too while you're at it. Go ahead.
Well, certainly very, very different, right? I'd say when I started, I'm sure that there were quite a few, especially men, who didn't want to work in a company that was led by women. I also had suppliers who were very reluctant to extend credit. I had a lot of resistance with banks. I had a number of different issues. Listen, they lost business because they discriminated against me, and that's just how it is, right? And I found others who felt differently, and really great people to work with me. So I'm happy as can be. But certainly you think about it, and it's part of why I'm so involved in women's organizations. I don't want others to be in that situation. But I feel right now women are in a fantastic spot. First of all, there's a big movement to get more women on boards, and part of that, and that's part of what I work for is getting more women on boards, because I do believe that women do pull other women, minorities up with them, and also for that matter, men. And the other thing is that I believe, and now I'm talking very generally, right? Because I don't want to stereotype men and women, but very generally, women have a very collaborative streak. And I keep talking about collaboration, but I really feel we are in the decade of collaboration right now. And I, you know, collaboration and respect for the humans, and looking at each other differently. And I believe that women bring that to the table. Many men do too, but women in particular bring that to the table. And that's a very valued skill set. And so I do think women are really have a very bright and in a very good spot right now to take over running companies, both in general and especially starting companies and growing them. You know, it's our time now.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And I also love the fact that you, as this very senior woman, help other women. Some women haven't in the past. You're one of those that has your whole career, sounds like.
I think that women are really helping other women, and I believe that has always been the case. I hear sort of the remarks about catty women and stuff all the time, and I've never ever met anybody like that. So, you know, I don't know where they are. I think that they're mythical. It may be that I'm wrong, but I believe that that women are helping other women, and that we have a strong network. And listen, I believe in men who work well with women.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So I want to just say, you know, I don't believe in having, you know, I believe everybody's bringing different things to the table, and I, you know, I would never start a company without having a significant amount of men in the group. And I think the world that we are creating, that we are changing, I think many men really enjoy that, right? Because it's a different way of working together if we do it right.
Yeah, I love that. But by the way, I've got a husband, obviously, and 2 sons, so I'm absolutely with you. We're partners in all of this. Okay, one more question, then I'm going to have to close up the hour, which this has gone very fast.
Oh, wow.
Susan Cheers, a terrific trademark attorney, is asking, are you a proponent of manufacturing more in the U.S. as a way to address supply chain issues, even if it increases the cost of products, particularly for consumers?
Yeah, so I think we can actually produce a lot in the US without increasing the cost of products, because there's some false economies going about. You look at the unit price. So you look at, okay, so it maybe costs $3 to do a component in the US, and it costs $1 in China. But then you've got to get it through customs. You have much longer lead time. It sits on the water forever. You've got your cash outlay. You've got the risk while it's sitting on the water waiting to come in, and lots of many other issues. So in the end, it may actually be cheaper to do it in the US. And so I'm a proponent of stepping back and looking at the full cost. Right? And also thinking about the sustainability that's associated with it, and the risk of unethical stuff. So there could be child labor, indentured labor, a number of other things that you really don't want in your supply chain. So, but I do believe in near sourcing. I think it's a great idea. And I see corporations also working on more near sourcing. And we are certainly putting our dollars where our mouth is. So I believe that's the right thing to do. And yet, I want to just warn that it's not the panacea that many people are thinking, because while you are eliminating some risks on tier 1 level, on your direct supplier, you still have the risk for the other suppliers that are delivering into that manufacturer. So you're thinking, oh, if I put it with a US manufacturer, now the problems are gone. Not so, because they're buying their components from someplace. And even the people who are delivering those components are buying their components and raw materials from someplace. And so when I'm saying that we have a very complex supply chain, you and I are probably looking into a camera right now, and just on the tier 1 level, probably 30 different countries involved in getting components into that little camera. And on a tier 2 level, we are talking hundreds of different suppliers, right? So even if you move the tier 1 to the US, yes, you've eliminated some risk, but no, it's not like now there's no risk. You cannot do business without risk, but you can create the visibility and the support so that everybody understands what's involved. It's one of the ways we're using technology is to create that visibility, not just externally and to what's going on in the supply chain, but also internally so that everybody understands what is on the agenda for today and am I successful in my job today.
Wow, you're making me think about things that I have never even thought of before. This is awesome. You're expanding my mind. And we're running out of time. Okay, so I want to ask you to really summarize, if you would, what are the top 3 things you want us to have learned from you today?
Ooh, top 3 things. I'd say 1, be who you are, and start with accepting who you are and set your goals. Don't live your life on inertia. If you need to make any changes or take any moves to hit your dreams, do it. And then I would say, really, really dream big. It's okay what your dream is, but dream big and go for it, right? So I grew up in a home where my dad had been in concentration camp, and barely survived and got a very bad start in life. And you know, he had all these dreams that kind of got messed up because of that. And when I was young, I was thinking, well, you know, here I have all the opportunities he never had. And so I decided I wanted to live my dreams and do what I really wanted to do and not be held back by second thoughts, etc. So that's what I've been doing, and that's what I would encourage everybody to do.
Wow, he must be so proud. That's it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Alive to see what you've done?
Excuse me?
Did he live long enough to see what you've
done? He died in 2004. So he saw some of at least we were well off to the races when while he was here. So yeah.
Very good. Very, very good. Okay. How about the top 3 actions you want us to take?
Really think about what you want to do. If you run a company, hire the very best people and make sure that you support them and give them the tools to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do something great for somebody else today.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Wonderful. You're so inspiring. Okay. How about any final thoughts to share? I didn't get to ask you all my questions. So are there any points you want to make we didn't get a chance to talk about?
I'm sorry. Once we start talking supply chain, we you know, it's hard to get stopped, right? It's such a fascinating topic for me. Final thoughts. I think we covered a lot of it. I think part of what drives me is doing right by others. You know, there was one of the things that I looked at when I started ALOM, and so ALOM has always been very values driven, and we have specific values, and I think being very vested in the values and understanding what's really important to you, and what's, if you're running a company, what's really important to the company, and aligning around that is very, very key to success. And getting, I think many companies have a hard time with recruiting right now because it's just another job, and having that mission, doing something that's important and aligned, and everybody pulls together in a certain direction, I think is much more motivating to most people than a paycheck, or getting a little bit more salary, or whatever else could motivate people. So I think having the values, be conscious about your values, the company's values, how you can drive them, and then sticking to it and making those decisions that sometimes are difficult just in the moment, because in the one side you maybe have the values, and the other side maybe money or some pressure you can relieve, or whatever it is. And so, but making the right decisions and sticking to your true north.
Yeah. No, that's critical. Well, I think one of the things the pandemic has done for us is people are examining their lives, and they're really, I think, thinking more deeply about who they are and what they want to do with their time on earth. And I think that's a very good thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't live your life on inertia.
Yeah, well, that's great advice. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. You've been amazing, as I knew you would be. Appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
It was a real pleasure.
My pleasure. My pleasure. All right. I just want to share some final thoughts then, guys. So I want to remind everyone that we've got a networking session next Friday at 10. People have met partners and customers and colleagues, all kinds of people online, and I give you a chance to really get to know each other. We have a new program at Purse Power. We are working with McLaren Cares to create a path for underprivileged women to get into technology careers. So we're taking marginalized populations, putting them through some training specific to the employer that's ultimately going to hire them, and giving people a chance to have a career that's worth $100,000 a year within 3 to 5 years of getting through the training. So if you have a company that's large enough to take on that kind of class, like a 20 or 25 technology students, I'd love to talk with you. If you have any interest in supporting this program, we've got a link on our homepage that says buy us a cup of coffee. Love for you to support it that way if you could. And then I hope you can like and share our social media pages and share this program with your friends. We do this every Friday at 10 Central. Okay, any final thoughts on your part? Hannah, anything else you want to say?
No, I'm all set. I'm just really tickled to be here, and anything I can do to help women in business and women in general, I'm here to be supportive.
Perfect. Thank you. We're of like mind. All right. And you guys, you can reach out to her on LinkedIn, me too, as well, if you'd like. And remember, please, Purse Power, we have it. Let's use it. Okay. Take care. Thank you again, Hannah. And have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next Friday at 10.